Well, good afternoon from Australia on a typical Tuesday afternoon, bright sunny day here in Adelaide. And I want to say, how's your week been? And also, we do have a special guest on our show. Well, I'm speaking to a band that's coming to Australia very shortly, is Good Riddance, and I'm speaking to their guitarist, LUKE PABICH. And how you going, Luke?
I'm doing pretty darn good, Jamie. Thanks for asking.
And before we get into the band and the whole thing, let's go to this. You're coming to Australia. You're hitting all the clubs, the small clubs around Australia around August. You're also doing New Zealand as well. I want to ask, are you looking forward to this type of tour in these little small clubs?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the last time we came over there, we were part of this Hits and Pits tour.
Yeah.
Which you're probably familiar with. That was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we had a good time, but we were part of this kind of big package tour, and it was a lot of club venues, but it definitely was not like a Good Riddance show. It was Good Riddance plus many other bands that brought in many different types of fans, which is great. But I'm thinking this tour is going to bring in the diehard Good Riddance fans, and it'll be a real intimate club experience.
And speaking of that, you guys had a bit of a break. You guys had a bit of a break up around 2007. You came back 5 years later in 2012. Early this year, you released a full live recording studio album that came out, and now you're coming back out on the touring circuit. I want to ask, how was that break for you guys, knowing that, the fans would like to see the band continue on, but as a member of the band yourself, how was that break away from each other for those 5 years? And also, with the members coming in and out, like you have some lineup changes, how did that all impact the band? Because you got new members in the band and the new chemistry started to evolve around, and now, like I said, you brought the new album out, you've got the writing process, and then you're coming out on tour. So how was all that for the band as a whole?
Yeah, so, when the band broke up in 2007, we had reached a point where we had been, working really hard, touring about 7 months out of the year, recording records, and we were in this cycle where we were just road warriors, and we did that for a long time, and we did it well into our 30s, and we basically burned out. We reached a point where we had been trying so hard to really make something, and we have no regrets about the level of success that we attained. We far surpassed how far we ever thought the band was going to go when we started the band. And but we just had reality setting in our 30s. We were getting older, and you start thinking about doing other things in life, and maybe having kids, finding new careers, because you kind of start worrying a little bit about, well, what am I going to do when I'm 60 years old, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that on top of just kind of being the typical band story that plays together for a long time, you get kind of sick of each other, and we decided the best thing to do instead of continuing on was to just call it a day. So we broke up, and we went our separate ways, and we honestly thought that was it. And hey, that was an amazing experience in our life. And we got our day jobs, and we started having kids, and sitting there staring at a computer every day, and going, wow, you know what? This isn't all it's cracked up to be. I remember when I used to travel the world and meet awesome people and get to play music and see great bands, and just felt like I had a little more fight in me, and I know the other guys did as well. And we slowly started talking about getting back together and playing a little bit. and those conversations led to us eventually seeing it through. And we just kind of got back together and started playing a few shows, and without any real notion of doing a new record at that point, because there was so many wounds to heal and so much drama that had happened in the past that we just kind of needed some time to feel it out. And so we did some shows, and we reached this point where we had played a lot of the areas that had always been great to us, and we felt like it just was a next natural step to write a new record. And at that point, we felt like we had the songwriting chemistry back, and Russ and I started writing songs on our own, and we then started collaborating with the other guys, and the next thing you know, we're in the studio making another record, just like old times. And it was really, it came really very natural, especially. It's really the core group of Good Riddance. It's Russ and I are the principal songwriters, and then we have Chuck on bass, which everybody knows is our crazy bass player, and then Sean, who's been our drummer on I don't know how many, most of our records. I want to say 5 of our records, and so we just had the old chemistry back. We all play together real well, and at this point in time, it's been a real positive thing in our lives, and we've been able to find a nice place where we can balance work and family and still get out and travel a bit and play shows strategically around our work and family schedule. So it's like the best of all worlds right now.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned about you all had like a kids and you had a family life and all that. I want to ask, before you got back together as a unit, as a whole, and now that you are back, how do you find that balance? Having the family life, having your day jobs and all of that, but how do you find a balance? Because a lot of bands nowadays don't have the longevities. They burn themselves out, as you mentioned before. But how do you find that balance to keep it all in place? Like, you can have the family life, you can do your day job, you can do your touring, all those type of things. Because a lot of bands out there they just put all their time and effort into one thing, and they don't have a backup plan just in case something does fall apart.
Yeah, I would say there's 2 key components, and one of them is having a family that's there to support you. So I have an amazing wife that when I'm gone for a week or 2, she's able to hold down the fort, and she works full time as well, and she's able to. I have two children, so she's able to manage our 2 children and keep her job and keep the house strong. And then the other thing is that we all have, at this point in time, we're lucky enough to have jobs that are being flexible enough to allow us to take off time from work to go do this. And, if we didn't have that, it would be problematic because we need to have our day jobs to pay our bills, unfortunately. So we do short trips. We don't really do anything longer than 2 weeks. So our employers have fortunately been kind enough to let us do that, and we just kick ass at our work before we leave to go on a trip, and then when we get back, it's like we're playing catch up. But you have to work extra hard to prove to your employer that you're going to do a good job, and then we found that they've granted us the freedom to go and live our passion from time to time. So we're very lucky in that regard.
Yeah. Well, Peace in Our Time was released on the 21st of April this year. You had a couple of video releases for singles. You had a song called Dry Season that was released as a single and also a video clip. And also you had This Potato came out as well. But what I got out of this album was that it was very short, sharp, centered, and it just impacted a lot of things. Yes, you had the influence of Bad Religion and all those classic punk bands, as we know from the 70s, and it just all blended into one. But let's go through a little bit. How was the writing concept? Because you are featured in more than a handful, half a dozen of songs. You also had Chuck, who wrote a song on the album called Silla, and also Russ had also collaborated as well. But I want to ask, how was the mindset for this album? How did it all plan out for you guys? Because you said that you and another member was writing, and then you brought that towards the other band members as well, and then you started to play. But as a recording unit, how did all that came about?
Yeah, so when we went into putting these songs together, there's a couple key things that we wanted to be very conscious of. I would say one was that we wanted to write a more aggressive record. We wanted to write a record that had a lot of the energy from our Operation Phoenix record, but also had some of the melody from like Comprehensive Guide to Modern Rebellion. So that was kind of our framework. But in general, when I write a song, I tend to write more aggressive, edged types of songs. That's for whatever reason, that's what comes out of me. And I think Russ picked up on that vibe on the songs that he wrote. That that's really where I was geared, and the rest of the band was really wanting to write something that had a lot of aggression to it, and his songs more or less followed suit. And also very important was lyrical content, and we live in a time right now that is just ripe for punk rock music, and there's so much chaos in the world that it's not really difficult to find things to tap into. There's just so much going on, so many things to choose from, and as you know, Good Riddance has always been a socio-political type of a band. We grew up on that kind of music, and we listened to those types of bands in the 1980s. That's what influenced us, and it wasn't too difficult to kind of just engage ourselves in the same spirit of music that we grew up on. That's it. I mean, we took a lot of attitude into the studio, and we worked with Bill Stevenson as our producer, who is phenomenal and completely gets the aesthetic of our band and is able to get that performance out of us. I'll just tell you a brief story about Bill Stevenson. The first time we recorded with him, so we went to the studio out in Fort Collins, Colorado, and we were in the sound room. I was playing guitar, and he was sitting at the controller, and I was playing along with the drums, and he just gets this crazy look in his eyes and gets up off his chair and starts circle pitting in the control room, takes his glasses off, throws them against the wall, and then sits back down and starts recording. And that's just the nature of Bill. He knows how to dig deep into the players' personalities and get that passion out of them.
Yeah, and it's so great to see you back in the framework, and you're coming to Australia. And fans, please go and grab your tickets very shortly, because these bands are coming, and then they're going back home again. So please get your tickets. Also, support the live music scene, especially here in Adelaide. We've got such a great venue for this type of band to play for us as well. So let's do the right thing, put our hard-earned money back into the live music scene, because if we don't do that as a unit, these bands won't come back again. So please, get out there, support these bands, and especially Good Riddance as well. I mean, it's been 5 years since they've done something together like this, so please, go out and support them. I probably will come down there as well, because I'm a local down there. So I go to this place all the time, so I'm a local. So please, fans, get your tickets right across Australia at all your ticket outlets. And Luke, we want to say thanks for joining us. It's all the time we got for. But if there's any one last thing you'd like to say for the fans of our show and the fans down in Australia, please go ahead.
I just want to reiterate what you said, Jamie. It's like we can't do this without people coming out to the shows and participating in the music. It's like we need you, and what makes us do what we do. So we hope to see you out there.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to play some Good Riddance material to get you a bit of a taste of what to come. And Luke, we'll see you in a couple of weeks down in Australia, man.
Sounds good, Jamie.
All right, catch you later.
Take care, man.
Okay, bye.